Hi, welcome back to Tony's Toy Room. You may have noticed that I recently changed my icon to that of a mashup of me and Skeletor. And really that's to kick off and commemorate the Masters of the Universe movie that's coming out on June 5th. I'm a big He-Man fan, Masters of the Universe fan. You wouldn't guess that by the amount of videos I've posted, but that's going to change here. And so really to kind of help kickstart that, trying to bridge the gap between what I've been posting about so far and to the He-Man. So we're going to look at the He-Man video games that have come out. Yet there's really only been about 7 or so real console games that have come out over 40 years since He-Man first premiered in September 1983. And by my count, exactly 0 of them are worth playing, which is a little surprising because of how much fandom the series has, the longevity, the action-based nature of the cartoon. So we're going to take a look at the console games that have come out and try to figure out maybe why there hasn't been any good games and why there's hope for the future. But to get us reacquainted with He-Man, let's kick it off by watching the intro.
And the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!"
Okay, that was still pretty badass for being over 40 years old. There's a lot of energy in that intro, and thinking, why can't they make a good side scroller? Heck, this was based off of Conan. Why can't they make a gauntlet type game out of this? But so far they haven't. And the first He-Man game that came out was Masters of the Universe: The Power of He-Man. Now I do own this game, but it's on Mattel's Intellivision, and I do not own a television to play it on. So I've only been able to watch videos, look online, and read reviews. And what's a little shocking to me is that this is one of the better, if not best, He-Man games. Now, this might have been pretty good in 1983, but when I'm talking about why there is not a good He-Man game, I'm talking about something that we actually might want to play today. Reviews I read is there's really no replayability to the game. Looks kind of nice for 1983, uses the theme song, but we've got to have a higher bar to clear than that, right? Now, He-Man, the cartoon, premiered in 1983, so you're like, wow, they put out a game quick, but don't forget, they came out with the toys in 1982, before the cartoon. So the cartoon was based on the toys. Taking a look here, the Intellivision cartridge looks a lot like an Atari Twin 600 cartridge, but I checked and it doesn't work in one. Nice to know that video games back then came out with instruction manuals, and you're looking at something that was pretty early, crude video game. Nice to put something on there, but no one's going to want to play this today. Taking a look here, they've got some pictures. It's kind of interesting how instruction manuals really more or less stay the same. I do love this little part here, though, where it tells you, have fun. This is a game. Good to know. Let's take a look. Oh, they got this Intellivision little insert that looks pretty funny. And well, that's all we have here. This was supposed to come with a free comic, but that didn't come with my copy, unfortunately. A little bit of a bummer. But this game not particularly worth playing. And Super Adventure was the next game that came out. It came out in 1986. Also, a little odd because it came out in 1986 and they went a little bit different route with this game, as you'll see. Much like The Power of He-Man, this is not regarded as a particularly good game, and it's based a little bit more like a text-based computer game. So instead of fighting or doing anything like that, you're just kind of picking a path for He-Man to go. It is kind of cool. They got pictures of He-Man, sort of. I guess he's all one color, and it's Skeletor on his throne, but not a good game. So then, okay, He-Man the arcade game. This looks promising, right? Oddly, this was not actually released in the arcades, even though it's called the arcade game. So it looks like Castlevania here, which great game, but reviews and talk online, this might be about the best game that came out, which really is not a good sign. If that was, and the reviews are not particularly good. But also in 1987, we had Masters of the Universe, the movie. Love this. When I was a kid, it was certainly also not particularly good. But like anything, they put out a game for this as well. This also came out, like I said, in 1987, and same year as the arcade game, and it looks pretty similar. So we've got He-Man, we've got Sauron, Blade. That's kind of cool. But again, we check in the reviews. Not a good game. Sure, it looks enough like He-Man, but can't they make something that's, again, similar quality to Castlevania or close, or what have you? So we're up to 1987 now. 4 games down the hatch. Still no good He-Man game. We've got some things that have come out, but none of these have gained any traction. No He-Man fan thinks that these are good games. Nobody in the video game community thinks that these are good games. And 1987 is when the He-Man craze really kind of hit a wall, fell off the cliff, if you will, and entered kind of what I call the dark ages of He-Man for about 15 years. There was that reboot in which He-Man was in space. That never took hold. I never got into that. And then there really was no new He-Man content through the 90s. No toys, no cartoons, nothing. And so as the NES was really kind of taking off, Super Nintendo, you could have seen some slap He-Man onto some characters on some games around the mid 80s to early 90s, and no reason why they couldn't have done that. But there just wasn't a whole lot of interest in He-Man, and I think that that's one of the reasons why there isn't a solid game, because He-Man kind of fell off right when it probably would have been a great time to make a game. Another reason I think that there wasn't a great game at that time is the original He-Man cartoons actually did not have physical fighting with the swords. So back then, the cartoons, they weren't allowed to have a lot of violence. So if you watch the cartoon, you notice that He-Man never actually strikes Skeletor with his sword. They'll strike the swords each other in kind of in a fight like that. But then when he actually goes to move Skeletor away, he kicks him and does or throws somebody. But no weapons are ever landed upon anybody in the cartoon, which is kind of a problem if you're trying to make a video game in which you've got combat. I just don't know that there was really a huge appetite for that with how the cartoon was made. 2002, in which the He-Man series was revived with a Cartoon Network adaptation. They released He-Man and the Power of Grayskull. So I do have this game, and I do have a Game Boy Advance. So this is really our best opportunity that I can see here. And it's even got a free comic here. Look on the back, and we have an isometric view, but it says I have the power, some nice colors, looks pretty solid. It's just a Game Boy Advance game. Figure all they've got to do is have the characters kind of look like He-Man, run around, do some stuff. There's a pretty low bar to clear here. So feeling pretty good about this. It's got the instruction manual. We got Skeletor there on the front. It's made by TDX. And I think they made a lot of shovelware back in the day, but they weren't necessarily terrible games. Stuff that you could certainly play. And heck, the instruction manual even had the notes section. So I always love that. It's got an advertisement here on the back for some of the figures. So far, pretty pumped. And then, we got the usual, warning manual there, and came with that comic book. So, again, this is looking good. All the He-Man figures always came with comics, and the fact that the game comes with one as well, it's looking good. So this appears to be a kind of an origin story for, just a short version of He-Man. Not quite with the timeline of the cartoons, but we get the point here. He-Man gets the power sword, or Prince Adam does, turns into He-Man. So this is looking pretty faithful. I mean, heck, this looks like the start of the new movie that's coming out. But, oh, he's fighting Clawful. And, oh, boy, yeah, there he is right there. Big, nasty Clawful. So, and He-Man. So this looks promising again. So we'll take a look here. And got to fire this up. So I do have a Game Boy Advance, but I'm playing this here on my Retron 5. With my capture card, it's actually doing a pretty good job here. So we start off, again, same thing we saw in the comic. Prince Adam finds the sword, holds it aloft, says the magic words. Is that a laptop floating there? And yeah, so far so good. Let's go into the game. I guess there's not really any options. A little bit bad sign. Take a look here. Like there's 13 videos or missions. Okay. Okay, save Grayskull. He-Man. Okay, I guess. All right. Okay. So first problem here is it's isometric. Not a big fan of isometric. Look, I've got to if I walk. I mean, they're able to show the screen in a nice view, but it's just odd. It's not how we're used to really playing video games, and this is weird, right? If I walk north, south, east, or west, I walk slow. But if I go to the diagonal, I walk fast. Orko's here telling me a bunch of stuff. Seems to be a lot of talking here so far that tells me how to play the game. And okay, we got a bad guy. Don't recognize him. Okay, hit him. Okay, I'm swinging. I can't even hit him there. This is kind of odd. Okay. Okay, beat him there. These controls, kind of a pain. Okay, here's another guy. Okay, there he's down. Okay, no, they just keep coming here. And this is really going to be the problem with this game is there's these vague, faceless characters who are going to keep coming from some sort of spawning things, and you have to fight them, but the combat is very boring. I don't know really who they are. And I was threatening that, hey, they should just make a game where they just put He-Man characters on a couple of them. That's what seems like what they could have very well done here. But at least put the bad guys and make them look familiar. Now here's where I'm going to spare you, is these isometric games, these jumping parts. The first time I played this, I died 4 times trying to jump back because the controls are just that bad here. I'm not sure why they gave He-Man the ability to jump if they were going to make it that bad. But you're just going to walk around in this game and just go up to these guys, and you can block their attacks with your sword. And you can charge up to do like a swipe that does a little bit more damage, but otherwise you're just doing this slow hack the entire game and just hoping that these flying dudes just don't hit you. And this is basically the game. I don't even know what these things are. It's just not very interesting. I don't know. I'm just swiping at these regeneration portals. I guess that's what they are. We don't really know, but there's just nothing here that tells me, hey, this is He-Man. It's really even like the cartoon. And the controls are just terrible. If it was a fun to play game and there wasn't a whole lot of He-Man out of that, I could stand that, but it's just me going up to things and just hitting this, try to listen to Orko tell me something, and then slash at some barriers as some flying things, hit me, and I try to slash the barrier fast enough. Okay, thank you, Orko. Why don't you tell me why I'm doing this or what I'm doing here? You'll notice I get these little orbs. If I get 20 of them, I can get a special bonus stage where I have a chance to earn a 1-up. Now, how the game works is if you make it to the next level, you can continue from there. Oh, now this is, again, bad. I'm trying to fight this thing. As you see, I'm only half the time I'm hitting it. Okay, apparently Man-at-Arms is underneath here. This little, I don't know, small stone tent. And I could kind of block these, but again, this is not a very inventive combat system. Now, if that little ring at the top, that's like my life bar. If that ends, then I just use up a life, and then it keeps going. And then if you run out of all 4, game over, and you have to start at the start of that level again. So a 1-up's nice, but it doesn't really carry a whole lot of weight here. But I'm still going to try to go for it. I'm going to try to get the 4. Okay, I got 20 crystals, so I've unlocked the secret level, and I'm making my way to the end. Now, if you're watching this, you're thinking, okay, this didn't seem that bad, but what you didn't see was the 3 times I played before this where I died trying to jump and spent 20 minutes going around hacking at these things before realizing that they just kept coming. So I'm a little worn out at this point, but hey, I beat all the enemies, got all the collectibles, and I even have a password. So I get to go to the bonus level. So here we are, 40 seconds to pick up the crystals. And okay, and it just kind of goes like this. And if you're playing a few levels, this is the entire game. So it just kind of keeps going like this, and you're just kind of struggling to, okay, like zigzag walk in this isometric with this weird thing, and swing your sword, and maybe hit half the times that you think you mean to. And there's really not a lot of He-Man stuff going on here, not too much fan service within the game. And so that's why I deem this game to be an extreme disappointment. And when I look online, it looks like a lot of other people agree with me, and they rate this as one of the worst He-Man games, which is kind of shocking. And I had ideas of playing this entire game for you all, but I'm going to spare you the trouble, and I'm just going to exit out. So now we're going to take a look at He-Man game that came out a year later, Masters Universe He-Man and the Defender of Grayskull. Now, you notice this is a PAL game, a European game, and it looks really good on the back. I'm like, okay, once again, this has to work. But this only game came out in Europe, apparently because the game is so bad that they had to finish for other regions, other systems, and they just said, what's the point? Somehow they released it in Europe. I guess it was one of the last the last PlayStation 2 game released in Europe. I guess they went out a whimper. And what's also amazing to me is that people online say that this is, the worst He-Man game, and that's just a bunch of slop, and there's really very little He-Man going on in the game, which again seems to be my problem from the Game Boy Advance game. How could they not make this work? But they do have the notes section. So we now have 6 He-Man games. 6. Nothing good. But hope springs eternal, and in 2026, fingers crossed, He-Man and the Masters Universe, Dragon Pearl of Destruction is slated to come out on quite a few systems. Now, it says, it's coming soon. It was actually supposed to be released in April, but because it's being released by Limited Run Games, who I love my physical games, but they're not exactly known for being on time with things, this game has been delayed. Fingers crossed that it does come out. It had to have been pretty far along in production. There isn't a update yet, but as we look here, like some of these other games, a lot of promise here. I have to think they can't mess this up though, because look at here. You've got He-Man, Cringer, Orko, total cartoon setting. This looks like He-Man. Looks like there's some fighting going on here. I think we've got a lot of kind of good He-Man things to work with. It looks like so far it's capturing the cartoon essence. It's got fighting. It's just a 2D beat 'em up type of game. They can't screw this up, right? They certainly have in the past, but I'm just going to remain optimistic on this one. Please stay tuned. Please keep coming back, because I've got a lot of He-Man stuff here I'm going to be sharing, really to kind of coincide with the launch of this new movie. So like and subscribe to Tony's Toy Room, and thanks for watching.